We're back for another XDP Manufacturer Q&A. In this one, I'm joined by Cass from Choate Engineering to go over the differences between their Model C and daily driver line of engines. So Cass, what are the main differences between the Model C engine and the daily driver engine?
Sure. So the Model C is not ever a quote unquote stock replacement. We have a kind of a saying around our place that stock's not an option. And we say that because we do not want the factory failures to ever find their way into our engines. We want to fix that. So the Model C, the approach to the Model C is to fix all those pain points, those failure points that the factory, just a factory induced failure. The Model C is also price conscientious. For a replacement engine. It's the engine of choice for a guy that's looking to replace the engine as inexpensively as possible and still be able to get a quality product that's much better than what he had with the factory. In doing so, there are some things that we can do to save the person some money. So he can finish dressing out certain things, like for instance, possibly a rear main seal, a rear cover, rear housing, or a front cover, depending on the makes and model of the engine. That's all going to vary. Or an oil pan. It might not come with those things. There are things, though, that you get with the daily driver that you don't get with the Model C. The warranty, being one, is extended to 5-year, 100,000 miles on the daily driver. It's a 12-month, one-year warranty, 12/12 warranty on the Model C. So the daily driver is a big step up because it is a fully balanced rotational assembly, meaning that we don't just weight match, which means we would take a heavy component and match it with a lighter component. But we actually we balance the entire rotational assembly to 2 grams or less on big end, small end. Everything gets weight matched and then balanced in totality. So it also has much more efficiency, and the approach to that engine is for efficiency, for performance, for longevity, durability, all these things that we're able to achieve through balancing, through machining processes. These are all key things that when you're looking at an engine and you're trying to decide between the Model C and the daily driver, there's a lot of things there that will separate the two, but even still, you're so much better off than what you are from the factory, even from a Model C.
Okay, so are both of these engines made from the same base components, or is there some specific variations in the internal parts?
So the internal parts are something that we do not skimp on. We're not, you buy a new engine, there's some things that people probably don't know that would be really helpful in this industry, and that is what is a reman unit versus a rebuilt unit. And a rebuilt unit is basically what we call an IRAN, an inspect and repair is necessary. So it might be disassembled and a guy qualifies a good used part and then reuses it. And a lot of times it might be pistons where they'll put new rings on but reuse the pistons. They'll put new pistons but reuse wrist pins, lifters. There's a lot of things in the industry that guys will quote unquote qualify and reuse. We've never taken this approach. And the reason for it is we feel that if you're buying a remanufactured unit, you're buying something you're expecting to be new. The only things that would be remanufactured on that part, that if it's not new, would be obviously the core itself, the engine block, the crankshaft, camshaft type stuff. So the components that we use for the Model C or the daily driver are still going to be the same. The difference is that on the daily driver, you're going to get more in the way of a new harmonic balancer, a new flex plate. You're going to get a more complete engine, and that's going to come with more new parts, but not anything less as far as the quality of the part or new versus used or rebuilt. It's all remanufactured, so it's back to better than new or new specifications.
So then, which of these engines are better suited for towing and hauling applications?
Both are going to get the job done, right? So I would say that the vast majority of guys are running aftermarket things on their vehicles right now. And the daily driver comes with all engines across the board with the daily driver come with head studs. The Model C is going to come with head studs on the engines that are notorious for that failure. Again, the Model C being addressed, the Model C addresses the factory failures. So if it's not something that is a common failure point, then there's no reason for that particular engine, because it's designed for a price conscientious consumer. There's no reason to add extra expense into that engine. So between the two, you're getting some things with the daily driver that you're just not getting with the Model C. Typically, if you're running heavy towing, you're going to have higher cylinder pressures. There's more demand on the engine. The head studs are definitely a great addition, because the torque to yield bolts are not designed to be able to maintain those cylinder pressures, be able to hold that gasket from moving around under certain conditions. It depends all on what the customer's doing. Towing can be anything from towing your boat or towing the Titanic, right? It just depends. So that's kind of an ambiguous, if we really want to start talking about, are we going up Pikes Peak, or are we just going to drive it to the park? It just depends on what you're doing and the demand on that. So both will get the job done. One is better suited, the daily driver, just because of some of the things like we talked about before that make a difference.
Now, what kind of testing do these engines go through before they leave your facility?
So depending on which configuration of the engine, whether it's a short block, long block, or complete drop-in, that's all going to be driven from what the configuration is. So the full runners or the complete drop-ins, obviously we can dyno test the entire engine in its totality. We can check for everything: fuel, air, the entire engine. Long blocks are going to be spun tests. They're going to have oil pressure testing done. They're going to have coolant, no leaks on any coolant passages, verifying that everything's sealed. They actually go through a smoke test that we are able to ensure that there's no leaks from any seals or anything like that. The short block, because it doesn't have cylinder heads on, and there's only there's so many things that we can do with that. We can still check for everything else that wouldn't be necessary for the cylinder heads. Those are all things that we can do to ensure that when the customer gets, obviously, the engine, that they don't have any issue with it.
Are both of these engine models designed to be direct replacements for the factory engine, or are there any modifications required?
Both engines will be a direct drop-in, so that will be an easy fit and easy installation for the customer, but they're direct drop-ins.
Now, when it comes to the person who's looking for balance between power, longevity, and cost, which of these engine models would you recommend?
So the daily driver would be my choice. It comes with a 5-year, 100,000-mile warranty, so that's appealing. There's lots of reasons to step up to the daily driver if that suits you. And so both are, again, great choices, and they're much better than what you're going to get from the factory, what you originally got. It's a huge step up. It's an engineering standpoint, it's an engineering perspective and machining and fixing these problems, but the daily driver is my personal choice for the best between the two. So it just depends on what fits your budget.
Are there any other key differences that you think people should know about when it comes to these engine models?
Yeah, one of the major things that I think that people are appreciating more and more every day is the fact that it's 100% USA made product, and that's huge. I think that that will help in terms of if there is an issue, being able to resolve it quickly. Logistics is key, and keeping things in-house and keeping things in the States is definitely every red-blooded American's idea of patriotism.
A big thank you to Cass from Choate Engineering for taking the time to come out and give us the key differences on the Model C and daily driver engines. To learn more and to get one for your truck, head on over to xdp.com today.